only 10 seconds away from the start, or half a minute away from the start, and one that I want you to watch at the start will be Jim Richards. Jim Richards in the Goss Falcon is on the second row of the grid. The big blue Falcon you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, and that's the car that should get away very, very quickly. Jim Richards is a magnificent driver, and since he came to Australia from New Zealand, has won virtually everything there is to win, and is to win in his very, very fast Mustang Sports Sedan. He's used to driving big cars. There's the flag up, and down it goes. The Hang 10 400 is on its way, and look at Richards coming out in the big Falcon. He's rounded up Peter Brock already. He's right up here with Colin Bond. There's Bob Morris coming up behind them too, and it's Richards the leader as he slams through into the lead, down past pit straight. Colin Bond in second spot, then would be Bob Morris in third position. Peter Brock coming up on the inside hard, and there's Alan Moffat back in seventh position at the moment. But look at the field streaming through as they go round. Car number 4 was Bruce Hindhoff in last year's winning car. The rest of the field storming through Tirana Corner, but out on the straight, there goes the flying Ford. Jim Richards from New Zealand driving the John Goss car. Bond in second spot, but he's being rapidly overhauled there by Bob Morris, who's coming up very quickly, and Peter Brock, who's right up there. Brock is up into third position now as they race over the top at Marlborough Country and come flying down through the S's. Richards punting the big car like he does his Sid Chrome Mustang. Throwing it through Goodyear Corner now. Bond in second spot, then Brock, then Morris. Then the next one was Alan Grice, followed through then by Garth Wigston, and behind him Alan Moffat, then Charlie O'Brien. Bruce Hindhoff is up there with them too, and Wayne Nagus from Western Australia. It's a tremendous battle as they come round with 1 lap down and 129 laps to go. 3 hours of racing ahead of them, and look at them slipstreaming each other down the straight as the big Ford is roaring away. Here comes Richards down into the braking area now. This is where the big Ford really shines. He brakes hard, slams it across to the left-hand side, and zooms down past the pits. He's got a good 20 or 30 metres lead over Colin Bond in second spot in the Marlborough Holden dealer team car. Brock up on the outside in the Bill Patterson car, tries to get through. Morris almost shunts the back of Brock's car, and what a race between these three Tiranas. Evenly matched cars and very evenly matched drivers. Up from Tirana Corner they go, and through the kink on the right-hander, but the big Falcon of Richards is just racing away with them. If he can build up a lead like this, it means that he'll be able to get away with the race and afford a longer pit stop to put in more petrol, which he has to do. Over the top at Marlborough. Here they come now, weaving down through the S's, down towards Goodyear Corner. Into the left-hander they go, brakes on hard, then power on as he slams the big Mustang, the big Falcon round the corner. There's Grice in fifth position. He's followed through by Garth Wigston, and there's Moffat sitting back, playing a bit of a waiting game at the moment, but he's back in seventh position. Up to the Dunlop Bridge they come, through the long shallow S's and out onto the straight for the second time. It'll be 2 down and 128 to go. Here's Moffat's car just flying out under the bridge now as the Jim Richards car racing away. He's got a good 100 metres lead now as he goes to the braking area at Shell Corner. In second spot we've got Colin Bond. Bond still up in second position. In third spot is Bobby Morris trying to get through on the inside, but Morris is being hammered now by Peter Brock. He's got through on Peter Brock and he's moved up to third spot. Brock's not going to have much of that, I'd imagine, and he comes right up hard on the Ron Hodgson car, nearly clips the fence on the inside as he powers through Tirana Corner and accelerates away up towards the right-hand kink, and there they go. The Goss car driven by Jim Richards. The Marlborough Holden dealer team car of Colin Bond's in second spot. In third place from Sydney also would be Bobby Morris. In fourth position, Peter Brock. In fifth position would be Alan Grice. And in sixth position, I would have it now as Garth Wigston. And in seventh position would be Alan Moffat.
Great drive from the start for Jimmy Richards as he leads coming through the top corner. He's got Colin Bond, but Bond is under pressure already from Morris. Jim Richards absolutely shining. Got a beautiful start down the outside, cut into the turn to make sure that he was well accommodated and let the others make their own arrangements. On the back straightaway, he managed to really open up distance on them, and I think the further the race goes, the further that you're going to see Jim Richards at least out-accelerating the field down the straight. Some pressure here as we've got Bob Morris coming up, and he's taken Colin Bond. This is not a good thing for Bond unless Bond is prepared to sit back and play a waiting game, although they're attacking this huge race as though it were a sprint. The pace has certainly been on from the outset, and Jim Richards going away. Bob Morris has come from behind, taken Colin Bond, now moves to second. Bond is in third, then followed by Peter Brock. great race. Good start to Jim Richards, the Flying Kiwi. And could we see the second leg of the double coming up with Johnny Goss winning the Australian Grand Prix and his car winning the Hang 10 with Jimmy Richards at the wheel? It could well be on.
If Jimmy Richards can build up a lead like he's doing now and get away from them, he'll almost have time to change over and hand over to Gossy before the end of the race. But there's coming up very quickly is Bob Morris. Bob Morris has just flown down through the S's and he's right on the tail of the Falcon. He's going to really treat this as a sprint race and he's racing hard. Garth Wigston has Alan Moffat now breathing right down his neck as they come through. There's Richards now holding a very slender lead. Morris is throwing the car sideways through the corners. He's right in the slipstream, dives out of the slipstream to try and catch Jim Richards unawares, and down the straight they come. Look at him hanging in behind the big Falcon. The Falcon's got the edge in performance down the straight, but Morris might just do a desperate up on the inside. He's trying hard, and here he comes. He's braking very, very hard, slams through on the inside, and it's now Bob Morris for the Ron Hodgson team. He's up in first place now with Richards trying to get through on the inside and can't do it. Swaps to the outside. He's really trying to harass Bob Morris at this stage. Away they go, away from Durana Corner. The smaller car of Bob Morris's moving away a little bit. The big Falcon right on its tail, and there's Colin Bond trying to a passing move too as they came through and race away up the long straight towards the Marlborough Bridge. In a moment we'll see them over the top of the Marlborough Bridge and they'll come racing down through those S's again towards Goodyear Corner, and that's where Morris is exceptionally quick. Morris now moved up into second spot and ahead of Jim Richards. Richards in second spot, followed through still by Colin Bond, Peter Brock, then Alan Grice, the next one, then Garth Wigston and Moffat still battling it out further back in the field, but there's a long, long way to go. So the cars at the moment are Bob Morris in car number 7, the L34 Tirana from New South Wales, headed by Ron Hodgson, is the leader. In second spot is Jim Richards. Richards in second place, and there you can see it looks as though Richards' car coming down here and pulling into the pits. We're just trying to find out if that is Richards' car.
And here comes Jim Richards into the pits also, who had just led the race and looked in a solid position during the opening laps of the event, but was taken by Bob Morris and taken very, very quickly from behind.
But on lap 20, we've got the positions as follows. Bob Morris, the leader still in car number 7 for the Ron Hodgson team in Sydney. Car number 05, Peter Brock for Bill Patterson Motors in Melbourne, both in L34 Tiranas, is second. Third position is car number 1, and that's Colin Bond in the Marlborough Holden dealer team car, and of course current Australian touring car champion. Fourth position, car number 20, is Garth Wigston from Tasmania. Then we're not quite sure, but we think Warren Cullen might be up there in fifth position in car number 6 with Alan Moffat just tucked in behind him. Alan Moffat in car number 9 in 7th spot. In 8th position would be Blanchard in car number 16. In 9th position would be Charlie O'Brien from Queensland. In 10th position, Murray Carter. Murray, a very consistent driver and one who will probably be there at the finish, very well up in the field. He takes the car at just below its limit all the time, doesn't stress it. Rarely does Murray Carter ever have an engine blow up. It's usually some unfortunate sort of thing like a flat tyre or somebody running into him that puts him out of the race. Kelvin Goff, who yesterday rode off most of the panel work on his car by hitting the fence down at Goodyear Corner, is in 11th position. In 12th position is John Pollard in car number 22.
That's a good return too from Kelvin Goff, because his car really did whack the fence yesterday. There's Peter Brock, currently in second place and running away a little from Colin Bond, although Bond appears to catch him up in the straightaway on the run down to the left-hander at Shell. Bob Morris, though, well and truly out in front. There's Peter Brock going up the back straightaway, and he is pulling away, if anything, from Colin Bond at this point. But Tirana's 1, 2 and 3 and 4 at this stage as they go up through Marlborough country and now approach the S's and then the run onto the straight. Bob Morris, talking about drivers who might be extending themselves, he's just absolutely disappeared from the rest of the field, and I rather query whether or not he can run at this pace for the full 400 kilometres.
I was going to say that a moment ago, Mike. They are running still at sprint pace. This is the sort of pace that we're used to seeing here in 20-lap races. They've already done 22 laps. They've still got 108 to go, and the pace is really on. There's no doubt about it. The pace is on amongst the smaller cars too. There's Pollard, who's lying in 12th position, but A lot of the other cars in the smaller classes, there really is a tremendous amount of battling going on. And as the race settles down a little more, we'll be able to bring you some of those class positions. Bob Morris, the leader, has a 20-second gap between himself and Peter Brock. Between Brock and Bond, there were 2 seconds difference. Between Bond and Wigston, 6.5 seconds. Between Wigston and Moffat, 8 seconds. So that puts 38.5 seconds between Alan Moffat, lying in 5th position, to Bob Morris in the lead. There's 15 seconds further back behind that in 6th position is Bruce Hindhoff in the car which won the event last year, and then Warren Cullen just being lapped by Murray Carter. So Carter has now come up, having passed O'Brien, Blanchard and now Cullen. He's moved himself up to behind Bruce Hindhoff and only 2 positions behind Alan Moffat. So a very consistent drive by Murray Carter, and I think this is the sort of pattern of the race that Murray Carter runs. He sets himself a certain lap speed, the others might sprint a little bit for a start, but Murray Carter just has that same pattern. You could almost set your watch by him that he'll come around every lap at exactly the same time, and now that's starting to pay off because he's getting a good run through the traffic. He's not been held up at all, really.
He's done very well. The attrition rate was a little high to begin with, but the race is starting to settle down in a pattern. Murray Carter has passed a number of cars, as Adrian just said, has moved up through the field. Here he comes down now, as you can see. He's already been lapped by the race leader who just went through, Bob Morris. There's Murray Carter going through and the race leader looking smart. They're out in front and running right away from the pack. Murray Carter, who has been lapped, car number 18, who have followed for the last lap or so in the Brian Wood Ford. Nicely finished car, and the motor sounded beautiful in practice here yesterday, and he's a driver capable of running the 400 kilometres without a sweat.
In front.
Yes,
Bond's
he's back in the second.
Yes.
A good move indeed from Colin Bond. He was sitting there playing, and the gaps must have opened for Colin Bond and not Peter Brock at the end of the straight.
Very nice bit of driving. He just bided his time and just grabbed that lead, pulled out of the slipstream, took Peter Brock unawares, who was probably watching another Tirana in the rearview mirror, thinking it was the Marlborough Holden dealer team car. But Colin Bond is much, much quicker. He's pulling away a little bit from Peter Brock, and he's just got that run on him as they go up the back straight now.
Bob Morris, our race leader. We were listening a moment ago to Bob Watson telling us what he thinks is going on out there, and he's a man who really would know. Bob Morris having not exactly an easy run now. He's in the traffic, but he seems to be able to pick the gap and the time to move through. But he has a lot of thick traffic ahead of him, and this will slow him up a fraction, only a fraction, because he seems to be finding his way through the traffic like a knife through butter.
Oh, trouble for Moffat. Moffat has blown an outside rear, did it appear?
Yes,
coming
right
into
down to the rim.
And goes into the to pit area. This will be very interesting to see just how quickly Moffat's crew are set up to change that outside rear wheel, because he was being plugging away there, just sitting back in 5th or 6th place, and he's already pointing, telling them the problem. He's blown an outside rear tyre. 3 minutes 45 seconds in the pits to Alan Moffat, so he if 120 would have sufficed, he's extended that by twofold. So Alan Moffat rejoins the field, and now I would imagine he would be well down, and the race still continues with Bobby Morris at number 7 out in front. I notice that Alan Grice also has rejoined the field, and here comes Grice. He's still got the one little light blinking away there, and a most aggressive and forceful character, but a great showman is Alan Grice, and he's not going to give up this race without a fight. Has no chance whatsoever of winning it outright, but he's back there to try and finish this great 400-kilometre hang 10.
Morris has done such a fantastic job to build up this lead in this race. Having a 20-second lead is an extremely significant margin. It means that when he comes in to do his pit stop, his crew can do everything methodically, carefully, slowly. There's no, they can afford to drop a few seconds on the pit stop because of his good driving to gain that lead. And on the other hand, Brock, his pit crew will have to do a super-duper job to gain any time at all.
The race is really developing into a bit of a cat-and-mouse game now. You can imagine what must be running through the minds. Oh, we've got one lost over here, a little bit of a lose by Jim Murcott in the Escort.
He's out.
And I'm afraid that car is no good. We can see Jim Murcott in the cockpit of the car.
He's not too well at all. They've called for the ambulance officers, the medical crew, and very quickly. Just notice that. That's just tremendous. That race organisation at its best.
There's the signal now for Peter Brock in the Bill Patterson 3XY Tirana L34 moving into the pits for what will be a very rapid stop. And you can see the mesh there on the driver's side, a little trick picked up in Europe undoubtedly by Peter Brock to prevent the driver's arm maybe flying out of the window in the case of an accident of any kind.
Peter, how's it going?
The tyres are no good, mate. I've got the wrong compound on. They're a bit slippery.
Well, Peter, very hard to hear, but he's having problems with his tyres. The track is very, very slippery. We thought we had an incident here for a moment. The exhaust pipe was on fire as he came in, but they've extinguished that. The two offside tyres are being changed. The fuel is just being replenished now. And Peter Brock sounding just a little disappointed at the performance of the tyres, the car, everything else A-OK. Car just about ready to go out now. Yes, he's off, the fuel's in. The engine's fired up and he's away. Back to main commentary now from Kerry Luckins.
Well, Jim, I've heard it said before that Brocky drives like his bum's on fire, and this time it was.
And so this enormous dice between Moffat, left of screen, and Peter Brock continues with the run now after this little right-hand kick up the hill towards Marlborough Country. Moffat a little bit quicker up the hill, and naturally Peter Brock, slightly better handling, catches him on the run down through Goodyear. Two cars worth following through this section. A little bit of traffic ahead of them, not over much. And if anything, the disadvantage is with Peter Brock because he has to play it second fiddle all the way through the slower traffic. Closed right up on Alan Moffat. Moffat taking all the road in this pretty hairy looking scramble through the traffic. Peter Brock picked his time well too, to be right on his tail as they swing through and prepare now for the run under the bridge and then into the main straight. Peter Brock closed right up, and I think if the other car hadn't been there, would have considered an inside passing move.
Bob Watson, I think you'd agree with me. Watching this race as a driver as you are, you would notice the very courteous treatment that the drivers of slower cars are giving to the drivers of the faster cars in overtaking manoeuvres.
They certainly do, Max. I mentioned this before, that the drivers of the slower cars really have two jobs. They have to watch out for what's happening ahead of them, and they also have to equally watch out for what's happening behind them. It does make their task quite difficult, because when a big car is coming up behind you and you're approaching a corner, you're never quite sure whether to hold your line or move over and let him through. You've got a lot more judgments to make. But obviously the clerk, of course, of this meeting would drum into those the drivers of those slower cars that they must always watch out for the fast ones coming through.
And I think really the best rule to follow when you're coming into a corner in a situation like that, if you're in a slower car, you still hold the normal line through the corner, because that really is what the driver of the faster car would expect you to do, and he will make his own arrangements from there. Whereas if you make a change and go to the outside or the inside or something like that, you really are placing the faster car at a disadvantage, because there's not a great deal of difference in the cornering speed between the faster and slower cars, really.
No, there certainly isn't.
Here's Brock making his big move down the straight. Big slipstream dice here, but not enough room there, passing that Alpha 58. And Brock was forced to stay behind Moffat, and he missed out on the slipstreaming manoeuvre there. Peter Brock signalling quite furiously there, coming down the S's to Alan Moffat to get out of the road and let him go through, because Kerry Luckins has just called in again to say that according to Peter Brock's pit crew there, their man is in front, so he's pretty anxious to get past Alan Moffat and clear away, because it does appear that the Falcon is holding him up. There he is, sitting in the slipstream, bearing down the main straight, pulls out now to get the advantage. Moffat will come across too, though, and block him off, sitting behind Bo Seton in the Capri. So Peter Brock will be getting pretty cranky about now, I would think, and trying to get the way around that big Falcon. Yeah, get out of the road, Alan.
I was about to say, if he can get his hand out through the window, through the mesh, he'd be doing a little bit of fist waving, and now he is. But Alan Moffat, I think, would remain rather unmoved by that. He claims he's taking the right line at the right time, and it's up to Peter Brock to get past.
There's Alan Moffat, and right tucked in behind him is Peter Brock. Peter Brock running in third position at the moment. There's Charlie O'Brien, who'd be out of it now. There is Murray Carter, and Wigston should be appearing. But Wigston's car is not appearing, and it looks as though he may be out of sight somewhere. So more drama, and we've got an official second place. It looks as though we've lost him again. There's Alan Grice appearing, and I think that might be Wigston's
Blondie
car. Yes, it is. Is it? No, there's the roadway car.
So much for
Car
Garth
number 20,
Wigston.
no. It's, he must have gone in just the last lap up at Tirana Corner and underneath the big Tirana sign, drive home a winner. Well, he's not going to drive it home at all by the look of it.
No.
It
Well,
seems to be
that's a shame.
very much down at the front, Max. Looks as though it could possibly have done a right front tyre or lost a right front wheel.
Yes.
And it's leaning up against the Armco. The bodywork is damaged, as you can see. I don't think our camera from Army Country can pick up far enough back there to actually get a shot of the right-hand side of the car because it is leaning right in against the fence. Alan Moffat now, this would put Alan Moffat up one more place. It would put Brock up into second position. So Brock there just tucking in behind Alan Moffat as they go through Shell Corner is actually now in second position.
That speed around that corner, a Shell Corner, is fairly deceptive on camera. They're doing all of 90 miles an hour through there because as they enter the braking area, a couple of 100 yards before the corner, they're doing something in the order of 145, 150 miles an hour, and they don't knock off a great deal of that, so they're looking at around 90 going around that right angle corner, although fortunately it's got a quite a large runoff area there. Well, not runoff area, but it's a very wide section of the track, and they can sweep right out to the edge of it and use all of it. But it's still pretty quick.
It is tempting to run wide on that corner, Max, but unfortunately it can lead to disastrous results because once you get off the bitumen and onto the grass, the traction immediately ceases and you have a rather nasty Armco fence waiting for you there.
They're immediately doing 200 miles an hour. 10 laps to go. There's our race leader, Colin Bond. Something in the order of 40 seconds out in front of Peter Brock, but faced with a pit stop to take on sufficient fuel just to carry these last few laps. And what a shame that is too, if he really does have to do that. Now, it's a bit unfortunate, of course, that Alan Moffat isn't sort of right with them there in the running order to mix it with them as well, because after his effort in replacing the car that was burnt out in that disastrous fire at Adelaide 3 months ago, to have built another one up and done so well, to lose that opportunity by a flat tyre early in the race, costing him some 3.5 minutes in the pits, it's robbed the event of a certain amount of exciting finish.
Let's hope that we get the final few circuits over without any rain, because that would be catastrophic at this time with the drivers who have just run so hard for so long, to have rain start to tumble down.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real rain up there, Mike. Look at the clouds are certainly grey, but and it's cold out there.
It's not.
Yes, it is. It is cold, and the coldness actually is going to be a bit of a help, because that'll keep the tyres and the engines cool at this stage, which is a big help, because the overheating of both of those components can spell doom very smartly. Peter Brock full of running as he roars on up the back straight again. He's still pulling around the 140 mile an hour mark up the back straight there, heading towards the checkered flag, which is waiting only 3 laps away. Not moving around quite as much on the track now, Bob. He was complaining earlier, of course, that he had the wrong compound tyres on and was making the car very slippery to handle. But he doesn't seem to be having that problem now.
No, I think he's in a comfortable position where he doesn't have to push the car as much as he did before. He was trying to make up time on Colin Bond when Bond was leading the race, but after Bond's failure up the back straight there, Brock's had a fairly easy run. He's got that lap lead on Moffat, although we can see them running together there. He's actually a lap ahead of Moffat, and I think he's just nursing the car along now, making sure that nothing goes wrong.
Well, he's shaken Moffat in the last 2 laps, and I think Blanchard, if anything, could be gaining.
Blanchard gaining on Moffat.
He's dropped back. He definitely has. A couple of laps back, it would have only been probably just 10 or 15 metres, but he has dropped back. So I think we're almost down to the last lap situation for what should be a very interesting finish to the Hang 10 400-kilometre race. There's Graham Blanchard. He is running third at the moment. The race leader is Peter Brock. There's Alan Moffat just ahead of that group there in second place, and the race leader out in front, Peter Brock. We'll have to take a look next time around at the main straightaway, because laps have run out, and this could be the last lap, or we could be approaching the last lap coming up. Peter Brock about to head on to the straightaway now, and he'll get a tremendous reception here. Here's the last lap board coming out now. So just watch the crowd in the grandstand, because they just absolutely love Peter Brock. They've been cheering him on all afternoon, and any dice at all that has eventuated, the crowd here really appreciate the good motor racing in Melbourne. Just look at that, 30,000 people just cheering him. They've done that for every lap of this race today and every lap of the Australian Grand Prix. Just people who appreciate car racing at its best, and Peter Brock has pulled off the first leg of the Grand Slam for the second year in succession. He's won the Hang 10 400-kilometre race here this afternoon at Sandown Park. A great drive indeed to Peter Brock, beating Alan Moffat, and third place going to Graham Blanchard.